Now, it's no surprise that a lot of men from all around the world are traveling to find themselves a wife. But between South Africa and Colombia, who's better? Now, before we get into this, I do have to give a disclaimer. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, let me travel to a foreign country, find myself a shorty, find myself a wife. Whatever you're looking for, it's important to be respectful. Okay? Gotta give this disclaimer, just gotta do it. The truth is that inside of South Africa currently, they have something called the Turn South Africa Purple Movement. And this is basically where they're bringing awareness to, a lot of issues that a lot of the women are facing. Inside of Colombia, they have something similar. That one is called Ni Una Menos, and they have another movement as well. And this is just basically to have women feel protected. I think it's very important before you do travel as a man or coming from whatever country you're coming from, or if you're a man living in that country already, it's important to make sure that before you travel to these countries, have you worked on yourself? Because I do notice that since a lot of Western men go through a lot of issues with Western women, whether that's divorce or whether that is, through personal issues, flaking, and mainly being treated inhumanely, I do notice that some men may travel with that same form of trauma and then pass that down, whether to their kids or even to their women. So it's important to deal with that first. Ladies as well, deal with your traumas before you get into relationships with anybody. This goes for both halves, okay guys? So we're just bringing awareness to that. Let's get into the video. Now, the great thing about these countries, right, is that you have a variety of different types of women to choose from, right? You have women that can be light, you have women that can be dark, you have women that can be in the middle. You have women of all different body types, shapes, and arrangements, right? So it's a very beautiful thing to see. Another thing about the beautiful positives about both women from these types of countries like Colombia and South Africa is that you have a lot of women that are hyper feminine. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, but I've been to Colombia, I've been to South Africa. I didn't experience these hyper feminine women. Well, it's probably because you were inside of a major city. A lot of times when you're in a major city, especially in a district or a certain area inside that major city that has a lot of that nightlife, a lot of that drink, party, a lot of times you're going to be dealing with certain females that might not be too appealing, especially if you're looking to get away from that Western kind of vibe, right? So it's important to keep in mind that if you're looking to find a woman in one of these foreign countries, you need to not maybe find her in a nightclub, getting drunk and blacked out of her mind, right? So when we talk about women inside this video, it's important to remember we're talking about real women that are prideful of being women that, understand the importance of family, etc. Okay, so that's why I say you have hyper feminine women in both of these countries. You have beautiful women in both these countries. And you have a lot of family-oriented women inside of both these countries as well. It's about vetting them out, right? Because even a club chick in some capacity could be a family-oriented woman, right? Maybe not the same kind of family oriented that you're looking for. Hers can be where she dominates you and slaps you with a whip and says, bow, bow, be my pet pig. What's it called? A peg pig? A pay pig? Something like that. Anyways, but any woman could be, of some type of, wife material to some guy out there, right? So let's not discount all the club chicks, but we're talking about mainly for the real women that a lot of men associate qualities of real women with. When I was inside of South Africa, I realized that I had a lot of women that came around that were very feminine. I will say this, unfortunately, due to that Western TV, you're always going to get a little bit of that Westernization. Now, is it all throughout South Africa? No. I realized places like in Mpumalanga, outskirts of Cape Town, outskirts of, Johannesburg, even Pretoria, have some pretty decently feminine women that really don't overly associate to trying to be what the media tells them to be, and that's beautiful to see. Colombia, they have their own thing going, right? Colombians, they don't exactly watch baddies on TV and say, oh, I'm gonna act just like her. They have their own stuff that they be seeing, and et cetera, et cetera. So now let's start with language, right? When it comes to language, because that's very important when you're traveling, if you're willing to learn Spanish, Colombian women would probably be at the top for you, right? But as it pertains to South Africa, if you're looking for somebody that already speaks English, South African women would be great because they speak pretty clear English. Now, I still believe Kenyans can speak really, really good English, but South Africans do speak a level of English that is extremely clear as well. And that's nice to see. Colombians, I'll say Colombians are maybe like a 4 out of 10 in English from what I've witnessed, and South Africans are more of like a 8 to 9 out of 10, you know, when it comes to their English comprehension. So that's nice to see. I noticed a lot of times in Colombia, if you try to go up to a woman, especially when I was in Medellin a while back, I noticed that, you know, a lot of them will kind of look at you and say, he looks good, but what the hell is he saying? Because to us, we sound like I'm a schnoish, and then smash schnoish, 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 you, and then schnoish, you know, and it's crazy to think, right, that, you know, our English could be so different, but that's just how it is when you're dealing with people with different languages. It would be better if you learned the language of the country that you're going to. Even if you're dealing with Asian women, it would be best to learn that language, Chinese, Japanese, whatever it is. Gold digging. Now, in gold digging and safety, okay? Now, I put these two together because they both have to do with money and robbery and theft, right? Things that pertaining to your money, basically. And inside of South Africa, the good thing about South African women is you can fall asleep next to them and not really think in the back of your mind that you might get robbed. Now, that doesn't mean that all Colombian women are robbing men and drugging them and putting stuff in their drinks, but we do hear a lot about the scopolamines. We do hear a lot about that, so we have to acknowledge it. Colombian women do have a reputation for doing this, but this doesn't mean that all Colombian women do it. It just means that you have to be more careful inside of Colombia. So sleeping with one eye open might feel more, you know, acceptable inside of Colombia rather than in South Africa. But South African women still got to be careful too. They're feisty and they do have their things that they like to do as well. I'd say that, you know, the gold digging part, a lot of the women in every country I've been to around the world, if you make $1,000 USD per month, and you're not a guy that likes to spend all the money on yourself, you can afford, you put a lot of money into your apartment and maybe give some money to your woman. Most women are willing to rock with you if you got that. Now, would it be better if you have more? Hell yeah, but is 1,000 USD okay for a lot of them? Hell yeah. So that's where we at with that. I will say South African women, they're more accepting, you know, I feel like, especially if you're not exactly living in a major city, they're more accepting to dealing with a man that, you know, doesn't really have an overbearing amount of money because they understand you guys only need so much. Colombian women outside of major cities too, they kind of have this same mindset. I do notice South African women are sometimes, you know, let me work, I'll make the money too. But that's a lot of times in the city where there's mainly like a lot of opportunity. You'll notice in Bogota, Colombia is completely different from Medellin, Colombia, because Bogota, Colombia is mainly more for business, at least from what I've witnessed. And the ladies seem to like to work out there, you know, so boom, there's that. Flake risk, I'd say it's mid, you know, it's nothing as bad as in America. You know, American women, they flake on any type of date, right? And that sucks. But that's just the truth. Body type, naturally thick women, you're gonna find that all throughout South Africa. Naturally thick, like no BBLs, they just got that body on point. Like it just be like that because South African women and their genetics, they're just like that. Colombian women are looking good too. You will notice more cosmetic surgeries inside of Colombia than you will in South Africa. I rarely see South African women with BBLs and et cetera, but they might just be able to blend in better because all the ladies in South Africa even have some kind of thing going for them, okay? If you're into that, you're into that. I will give this to Colombian women. If you're looking for more European features, Colombians definitely top that. If you're looking for women that are more open to wearing that blonde hair, you know, out and proud, Colombian women definitely topping that. Eurocentric features within the jawbone, nose structure, you'll see that inside of Colombia as well. And this is without cosmetics too. Sometimes you'll naturally just find women that are like this. So yeah, we have a lot of good things so far. So let me know what you guys think. As it pertains to loyalty. Now, when we talk about loyalty, we talk about if you leave the country, you need to come back. You know, if you leave the country, can you leave your woman there in that country? I'm gonna be real. It's a proximity issue for South Africa. So if you leave South Africa, you're far away. So that South African woman is thinking, am I really ever gonna see this dude again? It might be a bit difficult, right? If you've established something, if you guys trust each other, if you guys are married, she'll hold out because inside of South Africa, they have that bride price. So it's no joke over there. You know, they have to take marriage serious, you know, or else, you know, their mom will give them some restrictions. The father will definitely not be happy if they're not loyal because it's a bad look for his name and it's a bad look for his family. So, you know, then he'll also have to give back the money that you paid for this woman as well in South Africa. They call this process lobola. You guys should look into it, lobola. So that's something to be said. When it pertains to Colombian women, you definitely have the loyalty aspect there because they know that you're living close by. Excuse the noise. I don't know why people decide to do this while I start recording. The whole day is quiet, but when you start recording, there they go. So excuse me for that. But yeah, loyalty inside of Colombia is definitely there. The proximity is a bit closer. It's really about vetting out the woman because you have a lot of guys from Western countries going into Colombia looking for women and stuff. And the offers can be very appealing. You have women that are innocent, but then some guy comes in with a great offer and says, hey, baby, trying to do this for a little bit of this. And then she says, okay, sure, I am married, but he ain't going to be here till a couple months. So boom, let's do it. You know, so there we go for that one. If you're in the country though, and you plan to live in these countries, loyalty is locked in. You're locked in for sure. I always suggest if you're going to have a feminine woman in your life, you need to, as the man, not only protect her physically, but protect her mentally. So ensure that she's around the right people, ensure that she has the right things inside of her life that she's watching on TV. That's not going to really mess up her mind, right? Because a lot of this stuff on social media can really, mess up a woman's mind. Some of this stuff can better them, some of this stuff can make them worse. So that's something that definitely needs to be said. And honorables, okay? So when it comes to South African women, I'll say this because, they all have great things about them, but South African women, I'll say, they're super supportive. I definitely ran into a lot of South African women that are super supportive. I'm going to put all this on another video as well. So if this one ends, we have, another video I'll do where I break down my experiences with these women. If you guys would like a video like that, let me know. But I'll just keep it simple for this. South African women, hyper supportive. They'll definitely be behind you for whatever you need them to be behind you for. They're more open-minded to like new things that you would want them to try, et cetera, et cetera. Colombian women, I'd say that they have, some very good traits like just being like the hub of femininity. Like these women are really like trained from birth to be feminine. Unfortunately, some dudes have broken their heart and now they're a bit hardcore, but even the women that are hardcore inside of Colombia, you can still find like some heart and some grace in them, and they'll still be pretty feminine when you compare it to countries that you're used to. Mind you, I'm playing devil's advocate on this video, so if it sounds like I'm against American women, I'm not, but I just have to play against devil's advocate because I know this is what the audience is trying to get away from, so I have to put myself in that mentality. Just disclaimer again, but anyways, but yeah, as for who's best, I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. So, basically you do what you're looking for. If is language a problem, maybe go to, South Africa where they speak English. Is loyalty an issue? Then maybe go somewhere closer. Find you an English speaking woman in Colombia. Is cosmetics something you're looking for? Is that something you're into? If you like women with the BBLs, you need it like, Disney, Disney mom shape, you know what I'm saying? Dexter's Laboratory mom shaped. If you need them like that, yeah, you're gonna need to go to Colombia. If you like that natural, slim, thick kind of build, yeah, South Africa's gonna be for you. So these are things I have for you guys, man. Like, comment, subscribe, keep going, man. I'm gonna break down the videos. I'm gonna break down in another video on, the major differences I saw with the women personally that I dealt with personally. So if you guys want that, like the video, let me know that y'all really like it, and we'll get to that video soon. All right, we gone. Holla.